Welcome all to LawSikho's thorough newspaper analysis for June 11th and 12th, 2024. Now, coming up to the editorial section, we are covering two editorials. What are cabinet committees and why is the CCS the most important of them all? This we have taken from the Indian Express. Then we'll be discussing about why heat waves have not been included as a notified disaster in the Disaster Management Act. Now, then we will be discussing about the news update and the legal news update of the day. ठीक है? चलिए. So first about we'll be talking about some political editorial where before the swearing in ceremony, the structure of Narendra Modi's third ministry is becoming clearer. Earlier in the day, the Prime Minister had a meetup with his new team at his home. Although the specific roles for each minister are not yet announced, it is anticipated that BJP with 240 seats in Lok Sabha won't give up the important ministries of Home, Defence, Finance, External Affairs to its coalition partners. This way, the BJP can maintain control over Cabinet Committee on Security. Now, what are the Cabinet Committee on Security and other committees of the Cabinet? What is the composition of Cabinet Committee and their role and functioning? So first of all, guys and students, let us understand what are the various cabinet committees. Okay. So after the Union Committee and so on and ministers get their role, the Prime Minister forms special groups called as cabinet committees. The Prime Minister can adjust how many committees there are and what they do. However, it is not unheard of for non-cabinet ministers to be the members of or special invitees to committee. If the Prime Minister himself is a member of any such committee, he acts as a head of that committee. Currently, there are 8 cabinet committees. They include one like Appointment Committee of Cabinet, Cabinet Committee of Economic Affairs and on Securities. Most committees are led by Prime Minister. Now, when we talk about and we have an editorial of this particular topic, we need to understand why the CCS is very important. So with the Prime Minister helming it, the CCS has the Ministers of Finance, Defence, Home Affairs and External Affairs. It is responsible for debates, discussion and appointment. Major decision with respect to the significant appointment, issue of national security, defence expenditure of India are taken by CCS. Have alliance partners been part of the CCS earlier? So if they were the part of CCS, the notable example occurred in the year 1996 when H.D. Deve Gowda government, took over after Atal Bihari resigned as the Prime Minister. Now, Deve Gowda, who was the Chief Minister of Karnataka, became the Prime Minister on June 1. Mulayam Singh Yadav from Samajwadi Party became the Defence Minister, who had founded the Tamil Manila Congress that year, became the Finance Minister. So basically, alliance partners have been the part of CCS earlier in the year 1996. Even in the year 2001, during Vajpayee tenure as head of the NDA government, George Fernandes, the founder of Samta Party, served as Defence Minister for 3 long years. Now, the ongoing spell of extreme heat in many parts of country has once again. So this was all about what are the cabinet committee and why is the CCS the most important of them all. So this was about the first editorial section where we were discussing about the cabinet ministers. Now, we will be discussing about why heat waves have not been included as notified disaster in the Disaster Management Act. So the ongoing spell of extreme heat in many parts of country has once again reopened discussions on the inclusion of heat waves as one of the notified disasters under Disaster Management Act. If the inclusion does happen, states will be allowed to use their disaster response funds to provide compensation and relief and carry out a range of other activities in managing out the fall of heat wave. Now, what are notified disaster? The Disaster Management Act defines a disaster as catastrophe, mishap, calamity or grave occurrence arising from natural or man-made causes. That results in substantial loss of life, destruction of property or damage to the environment. When a big disaster happens, states can use money from 2 funds, whether it is National Disaster Response Fund or State Disaster Response Fund. First, they use money from SDRF And if it is too big, then they use the money from NDRF. Currently, there are 12 categories of disaster which are notified under this act. Now, what are these 12 categories, students? Cyclones, drought, earthquake, fire, flood, tsunami, hailstorm, landslide, avalanche, cloudburst, pest attack, frost, and cold waves. Now, why the heat waves are not included in the disaster? Before 2005, heat waves in India aren't seen as a big problem because they happened often during the hot summers. So they were not considered as disaster when the act was made. These heat waves mostly affected areas in north, east, and center of India, causing illness and death. More people have to stay outside for work or other reasons because of more jobs and activities happening. There are 23 states in India that are prone to heat waves. These measures require expenditure, but state government have not been able to use the SDRF for them. States have asked the last three finance commission to officially recognize the heat waves as disaster. However, the Finance Commission have not entirely been convinced. The 15th Finance Commission, whose recommendations are currently being applied, said the existing list of notified disaster covers the need of the stages to a large extent and did not find merit in the request to include heat waves. Okay, the previous Finance Commission made a rule letting states use up to 10% of the state disaster response fund for local disaster like lightning or heat waves. Yet another important reason are the practical difficulties. Although unstated, the main reason behind the reluctance to add heat wave as notified disaster is the potentially huge financial implication of the move. The government has to provide monetary compensation of rupees 4 lakh for every life lost because of disaster that is the notified list. Grievous injury also have to be compensated. Now, heat waves cause many deaths each year, though the official numbers haven't been high recently. But this year, there are already been over 500 heat-related deaths reported. So, guys, it's a huge, huge number. If the government has to give compensation, more deaths might be discovered. Another challenge is identifying heat wave related deaths. Often heat alone does not directly cause death. Instead, it worsens existing health issues. It's hard to tell if the heat was the main factor. This is unlike other disasters where identify victims is easier. Now, when it comes to observation of Finance Commission for the 5 years from 21 to 26, the 15th Finance Commission suggested giving a big amount of rupees 1,60,000 crore to different SDRFs. Uttar Pradesh got 11,000 crore, while Maharashtra got the most, about 19,000 crores. But if heat waves and lightning, which also cause many deaths each year, are added to the list of official disaster, even this money might not be enough. On the other hand, inclusion as a notified disaster can improve the management of heat waves. Heat-related illness and deaths would be better reported, and authority would be more alert to minimize the impact of heat waves. So this is all about the heat waves that are being a problematic situation. Coming up to the national news, Bharti Airtel enters India's $1,000 billion market cap club. So India has now 4 companies, that is Bharti Airtel, Reliance Industry, Tata Consultancy Services, and HDFC Bank with a market cap of around $100 billion. India's telecom service provider Bharti Airtel has entered the $100 billion market capitalization club in the country, backed by the success of its mobile business. Once Swaadumlabh protection startup incubated at PAU honored. One Swaadumlabh protection, a startup incubated at the Punjab Agricultural University, Punjab Agri-Business Incubator, has been honored at the National Cooperative Spice Fair 2024 in Jaipur. Okay, so the event was a grand celebration of innovation and excellence in spice production. Now, Indian Navy gets first woman helicopter pilot. Sub-Lieutenant Anamika B. Rajiv has become the Indian Navy's first woman helicopter pilot after she received the prestigious Golden Wings at the passing out parade at a naval air station in Tamil Nadu, Arakkulam. Also, Lieutenant Jamyan Teswang, the first commissioned naval officer from Ladakh, achieved the milestone of becoming the qualified helicopter pilot as reported by Indian Navy. So it's a very proud moment for women in India. Prem Singh Tamang takes oath as Sikkim Chief Minister. Sikkim Krantikari Morcha convener Prem Singh Tamang was sworn in as the Chief Minister of the Himalayan state for the second consecutive term. Priy Singh appointed Director in Department of Rural Development. Priy Singh, a 2010 Patch Indian Forest Service officer, has been selected as the Director in the Department of Rural Development within the Ministry of Rural Development. Okay. Iga Swiatek wins women's single final at French Open. Iga Swiatek won the French Open women's single title by defeating Jasmine Paolini at Roland Garros. She is also the first woman since Justine Henin to win 3 consecutive titles in Paris. French Open, Carlos Alcaraz wins his third slam. Carlos Alcaraz, 21, won his third Grand Slam title and first at the French Open on Sunday, defeating Alexander Zverev. Aeronautical Society of India inaugurates new space application center in Ahmedabad, so marking a significant milestone in advancing aeronautical sciences and fostering collaboration among professionals in the aerospace sector. The establishment of Aeronautical Society of India in Ahmedabad will encourage more involvement and teamwork among aerospace experts in area advanced technology and innovation in aeronautics. It is established in the year 1948 by the first Prime Minister of India. Current leadership is Dr. G. Satish Reddy as President and Shri S. Somanath as President elected. India Tripartite Delegation at the 112th session of International Labour Conference. It is led by the Secretary of Labour and Employment, Ms. Sumita Dwara, participated in 112th ILO conference in Geneva in Switzerland. Market regulator SEBI finds 11 individuals for pump and dump scheme. It has slapped around 7.7 crore on 11 individuals for allegedly operating a pump and dump scheme in script of Swarnim Trade Udyog. So basically, what is pump and dump scheme in the stock market is a type of manipulation activity that involves artificially inflating the price of stock through false and misleading information only to sell the stock at the inflated price and leave investor with significant losses. Army launches integrated generator monitoring control system Vidyut Rakshak. So it's an integrated generator monitoring protection and control system developed by Indian Army. It's Vidyut Rakshak, which is developed by Army Design Bureau, was launched here by Army's Vice Chief Lieutenant General Upendra Dwivedi. Universities will be allowed to offer admission twice a year, which is UGC says that can now admit students twice a year like universities abroad. This change was approved by the University Grant Commission, whose chief is Mr. Jagdesh Kumar. The 2 academic cycles will be in July and August and January and February. Uttar Pradesh Pooja Tomar becomes first Indian to win a UFC, that is Ultimate Fighting Championship, beats Brazil Riane. She is a 30-year-old known as Cyclone, signed a contract with UFC last year in October to become the first woman from India to compete in the biggest mixed martial arts promotion. Emmanuel Macron dissolves National Assembly, calls snap elections in France. So France President Emmanuel Macron has dissolved the country's parliament, the National Assembly, and called a snap election due to the rise of far-right opposition in European parliamentary elections. European Commission excludes Tanzania from conservation grant. So European Commission changed the requirement for getting a conservation grant through the Natur Africa program. This was a big change that affected Tanzania in particular. Philemon Yang of Cameroon elected president of upcoming General Assembly election session. So UN General Assembly elected Philemon Yang, former Prime Minister of Cameroon, as the president of the upcoming 79th UN General Assembly. Okay, guys. India welcomes Egypt, Iran, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Ethiopia joining BRICS. So India has welcomed these following countries, which is joining the BRICS as their representative, attended for the first time a key meeting of grouping hosted by Russia. Smallest known species dating back 11 million years discovered. A great ape Brononus manfredus timdi has been discovered in Germany dating to 11 million years ago. 12 countries signed Zero Debris Charter Pivot to Space Sustainability, a landmark initiative which is led by the European Space Agency to address the pressing issues of space debris. Unveiled in 2023, the charter commits signatories to achieving debris neutral space activities by 2030. Coming up to the legal update coming from Gujarat, Honorable High Court, substitute co-arbitrator cannot be appointed under Section 115 Subclause 2 of Arbitration Act after mandate termination by operation of law. So the above observation was made in a petition filed by Limited Liability Partnership seeking the appointment of co-arbitrator on behalf of private company in ongoing arbitration proceeding between the parties, and the court has held that no option but to dismiss the petition, stating the fact that a substitute co-arbitrator cannot be appointed under Section 15 of Clause 2 of the Arbitration and Conciliation Act when an arbitrator mandate is terminated by the operation of law. Supreme Court says when court alters charges, opportunity must be given to both sides to recall and re-examine witnesses, coming from Section 302 read with Section 34, where the court has said that in the event of alteration of charges, an opportunity must be provided to the parties to recall and re-examine their witness in reference to the altered charges, and the reason for the alteration of charges must be recorded in the judgment. That's all for the today's news update and the legal news. Thank you so much for joining. Take care.